And it's going to be the Magic off the tip. A look at the opening lineup for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Dort and Paisley are the forwards. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is out there with Josh Giddey. And it's Holmgren in at the center, locking down the middle. And that one's good. Giddey.
Bam! Snuff the shit out. And look, all them bitches right there, look, that shit, they flash their light, but I'm thinking they flash their light and try to come give me and shit like that. They come in and get that nigga. In that motherfucker with you. You know what I'm saying? They gonna still leave me them motherfuckers with them bitches like that. But it's the part, bro. Your help ain't your help. You really by yourself.
So you used to fight back, like they hit you, you swing back.
About confidence and composure on the interior. Josh Giddey does stand 6'8", makes that a little easier.
Here's Hardaway. Lays it up and banks it in.
Nice way to start the game. That's where you'd like to get your shots from.
Outside Giddey. Pass to Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's Holmgren. And rejected. And that'll be Oklahoma City's ball as it goes out of bounds. Thunder able to keep possession. It's time to take a glance again at that superb block.
That'll put some fear into the shooters, and he made sure to do it early, too.
Hill against Dort, and there's the call. It's going to be an illegal screen.
One of the trickier plays to judge, but it would be hard to argue against the call.
It is really difficult to get your feet completely set, to stay completely still. It's almost surprising to me that it isn't called more often.
Now here's Hardaway. And there's Howard. That one's good on the assist from Hardaway.
That is a grown man move from Dwight Howard.
Gilgeous-Alexander passes to Dort. Here's Paisley. Pass to Gilgeous-Alexander. Count it. 1 for 1 to start the game.
He's a producer. It's part of their plan to get him as many touches as possible.
And that streaking rack attack is the Mobile One drive.
And I love the way he played downhill on that drive. Love the attack mentality in a close game.
Now here's Hill. Here's Howard. And it's Holmgren with a rebound.
Well, defensively, if you allow him to get this close, you're playing with fire. He just happened to miss that one.
It's deflected. They get it back. Hardaway against Gilgeous-Alexander. Hardaway shot is good.
Just taking it right to the rim, and no one was there to greet him.
And I think defensively, that is not the way you want to start. Giving up high percentage looks, that doesn't typically end well.
Here's Paisley. The 3 ball. It's hauled in by Hill. Here in the first, just under 2.5 minutes played so far. Shot clock at 6. Plenty of contact on that shot. Officials call the foul, and he'll take 2 free throws now.
Man, good whistle there.
At the line for Orlando, Grant Hill, taking 2 shots.
No good on the free throw. Good on the second one. Oklahoma City trailing. And the Thunder call time here.
Adjustments are a part of every game, in every quarter of a game. I think Coach sees something here.
Well, this is a chess match. You're looking ahead a few moves and trying to execute toward that.
It's time to get loud. It's your 407 man speed.
And a little over 2.5 minutes gone here in the first. Gilgeous-Alexander with the ball. Back to Dort. Clock at 6. Ooh, poked away. Pass to Gilgeous-Alexander. There's the 3. Sinks Hits it from distance. Gilgeous-Alexander's got 5 points.
That's the long-range damage that this coaching staff wants Shai Gilgeous-Alexander searching for. Nicely done.
Here's O'Neal, and he buries his first look.
Attacking in the painted area. Clearly that was their game plan coming in.
And we're approaching about 3.5 minutes played in this first quarter. Outside Gilgeous-Alexander. Back to Giddey. To the right side. Here's Holmgren. Misses off the right iron.
I don't know if you can credit the defense for that. It was just a missed opportunity.
Here's Hardaway. 3 shots, 3 baskets. Great efficiency so far.
Good execution. They're getting some short-range looks here.
Outside Gilgeous-Alexander.
Magic foul. Penny Hardaway.
Both teams will make substitutions.
First team foul. Substitution on the court.
Stolen. Here's Turkoglu. Vucevic gets the bucket.
Well, there's a certain strength that Vucevic possesses, so he can play through the contact and still score. That's nice.
Here's Pokusevski. And the 3 off target. Orlando leading. Right side Anderson. The shot comes out, so Oklahoma City will take it the other way. Knocked loose. Here's Hardaway, and it's flushed down and back again.
And that's what happens when you don't take care of the ball.
Hey, that makes the turnover hurt even more.
At the end of the day, though, it's 2 points. Don't hang your heads. Let's get refocused and play with more patience.
And here are the Thunder now, following the bucket by the Magic.
Magic foul. Shaquille O'Neal. First personal foul. Second team foul. Substitution for your Magic.
56 seconds left in the opening quarter. Back to Williams. Shot clock at 5. Here's Pokusevski. Connects on the open jumper.
Well, Pokusevski looking really confident on the interior, doing a nice job using his size to his advantage.
Right wing. Here's Turkoglu. Always a nice way to start. Makes his first one.
I'll tell you, sometimes it's easier to hit the target with a bounce pass. That's perfectly done.
8-second difference between the shot clock and game clock. Here's Robinson Earl. And there's the bucket. Staying with it that time. Offensive glass, getting it done.
You have to appreciate the doggedness and intensity on the glass. Wow.
Inside, here's Vucevic. No good that time. Hey, nice D from Muscala. Here's Pokusevski. Pass to Williams. It's Pokusevski on the wing. And so it's Orlando leading by 6 as we wrap up the quarter. And it's mostly due to their superb shooting. They've wasted very few possessions. We'll be right back after this word.
Electrified. Ion. Hankook Tire.
Here they come, Magic fans.
And thanks again for tuning in. If you're just joining us, we've played through 1 quarter of action so far. All right, guys, let's get your take on the scoring breakdown for the Magic.
The way they just continue to drive right at the defense, they've really been overwhelming them when they do this.
Yeah, and their assertiveness in the paint so far tonight has been impactful. They're really making it hard for the interior defense.
On the floor for Oklahoma City, getting going in the second. Baisley down low with Holmgren. Josh Giddey out there with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And it's Dort in at the small forward position.
Well, what a terrific possession. Attack in the painted area.
And let's send it over to Allie LaForce.
Well, guys, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the deadliest drivers drivers in the league. Coach Nick Nurse of the Raptors said, quote, his first step is unbelievable. It's hard for anybody to keep him in front of him, and once he blows by you, he can slow down, he can sidestep. He's got a lot of things going. Brian?
Well, it's fun to watch, Allie. Thanks for that. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. The Magic making their last shot. Howard with some nice D.
Showing great intensity around the rim is part of why he's a respected defender.
And what you love about his work defensively, the ability to challenge and change shots without fouling.
Here's McGrady. Now quiet so far offensively, searching for his first points of the game.
Substitution for your Magic. Horace Grant. Penny Hardaway.
Dort against Hill. Dort, the pass to Gilgeous-Alexander. It's Giddey on the wing. Beyond the arc. 3 shots, 3 baskets. Great efficiency so far.
With repetition, you can see the court awareness of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander developing. This guy is going to be a problem as a passer.
Now here's Hill. Now Hardaway. And it's Holmgren with a rebound.
It's all about the defense right there. Without that level of activity, he probably scores it.
And so he draws the foul, headed to the line to shoot a pair.
Lu Dort earned his way into the NBA because of what he brings on the defensive end. He is stout, he's not going to back away from a challenge, and now he's knocking down threes. Those players in high demand.
What up? And the motherfucker started sitting out. So, you know what I'm saying? The guards move on the side. And what made me realize I wanted to be his best friend, when I see that.
That's good from Dort.
Yeah, I didn't mean with him.
And Dort hits them both.
Two-part equation. You have to be aggressive enough to get to the line, then talented enough to sink them.
Pass to McGrady. Back to Hardaway. Grant with it. Paisley on him. Here's Howard. The shot's good. Howard's gotten his second bucket of the game.
His entire career, Dwight Howard has been an absolute force on the glass. Nice finish.
Now a timeout called by Oklahoma City. And as we head into this break, the players have an opportunity to replenish their energy with Gatorade as they prepare to go into the final stages of this ballgame.
Absolutely. Over the course of a game, not to mention over the course of a season, you have to stay hydrated. If you don't, it's amazing how much slower your body is to bounce back. It can have a serious effect on performance, no question.
So it's the Thunder now, after the basket by Orlando. And the officials called goaltending, so they'll award the basket.
He almost blocked that shot in time, just a nanosecond late.
Going all in, that was the 2K drive. Well worth a second look.
Yeah, he made that drive look easy, but that had a high degree of difficulty.
And we're just over 2.5 minutes into the second. Hardaway finds Hill. 6 on the shot clock. It's good. And he drew contact on the shot, so he will go to the line. A 3-point play opportunity.
Chet Holmgren. Second.
Neal, he's checked in fourth grade.
At the line for the Magic, Grant Hill. Shooting 1.
What was the difference between the new prison and the old prison?
Oklahoma City trailing. Pass to Dort. Here's Giddey. Oh, he gets it to go. So far, he can't miss. He's 4 for 4.
Boy, it looked like the defense was perfectly positioned. Outstanding contest. And Josh Giddey says, I don't care. I'm scoring anyway.
Here's O'Neal. Played it in with a nice touch off the window. And in the second quarter, a little under 3.5 minutes played already. Pass to Holmgren. Dort outside. Hardaway against Gilgeous-Alexander. 5 to shoot.
Magic foul. Penny Hardaway. Second personal foul. Second team foul. Substitution on the court.
Here's Robinson Earl. Dort outside. He shoots. Cash money on the open jump shot. So Dort's got 6.
Well, Lou Dort expanding his skill set, now able to run pick and roll action. Go ahead and dictate some offense, Lou.
That shot is good by O'Neal. And Orlando leads by 4.
Boy, when he's this deep, it's going to be tough to stop him, especially with a smaller defender.
Wiggins passes to Dort. Wiggins against Hardaway. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. And it's Orlando with a rebound. 1:36 left to play in the half. Here's O'Neal. Carries it down low. Now it's a 6-point Magic lead.
That pass had to be thrown not only in the right spot, but at the right time.
Time called here. The Thunder decide to talk it over.
Protecting the rim has to be their top objective right now.
And the question they're going to have to answer to me is it a problem with the scheme or is it a problem with the matchups?
For the Thunder, Pokusevski comes in for Dort. And it's man in for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Besides, we talk about the mop stick already. Besides that.
On the wing man. But no scoring yet from him, but that's likely to change. To the middle. Here's Robinson Earl, guarded by Howard. Just 5 on the clock. Shoots off the step back. That one's wide left. 58 seconds left to play in the first half. They are looking really strong offensively.
Yeah, just terrific momentum. Let's see if they can keep it up.
That bucket makes him 3 for 5.
This is a comfort zone for Dwight Howard. The closer he is to the hoop, the more effective he becomes.
Pass to Pokusevski. Wiggins outside. Here's man. Lets it fly from 18. And again, Oklahoma City, no good.
Well, defenses are content to give up the mid-range, right? It's not the high percentage restricted area or the 3. You can see they're prepared to give up that shot.
You can really feel the momentum swinging in their direction.
You want to continue to build on this lead. Right now, still a little too close for comfort.
Here's man to stop the run. And the bucket counts. And he is on his way to the line to try to make it a 3-point play.
Oklahoma City. Praying man. One shot.
You know what I'm saying? You got to prepare for the other shit. You got to know this shit. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers, they will tell you this shit. You know what I'm saying? You got to prepare to make three-way call. You know what I'm saying? They ain't gonna do it. You got to prepare for some of that shit. You got to look at top 15 minutes on your call. You got to be prepared for that shit.
And that one misses. Down low. Here's Vucevic. And he was fouled in the act of shooting. Opportunity for a 3-point play here.
Well, that's power and focus of Nikola Vucevic. Hit him, slap him, doesn't make a difference.
First personal foul. Second team foul. At the line for the Magic, Nikola Vucevic. One shot.
And the free throw, no good. And so it's the Orlando Magic earning this break in the action, up 10. Their key to consistency has been their dominance in the paint. They've been the more physical team. Back to the game after this break.
It's the 2K Sports Halftime Show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the 2K Sports Halftime Program. I'm Ernie Johnson alongside Shaquille O'Neal and Kenny the Jet Smith. Out in front of the half is Orlando. They lead by 10. Shaq, let's get your input on the Magic.
They're going to work in the paint. Doing a great job. A good portion of their offense is generated inside. Really outperformed their opponent in that aspect. I expect the defense to pack it in a little more in the second half and try to force them to stay outside.
And over to Kenny. Your thoughts on the Thunder's first half?
Well, it's never fun.
You're playing against a team that's on fire. This team was on fire. They showed.
And that should do it.
Until it's enough. I don't know what it's enough until they say it's enough. Until death becomes one down.
For the 407.
And we hope you've enjoyed the broadcast thus far. We're halfway through the game. One guy who's been getting it done is Josh Giddey.
The numbers say it all. He spent the first half playing efficient ball.
I think they've taken their time. They've showed incredible patience. It's a sign of a well-coached ball club.
We've got Dwight Howard, and it's Hill in at the small forward. That's who's out there for Orlando. Pass to Dort. Now here's Giddey. Outside Gilgeous-Alexander. And here's Dort. Shoots over Hill. That one off the back iron and out.
Great contest down low. Allowing no easy hoops is a winning approach.
Out left to the wing. To the paint. Here's Howard. Deflected. Here's Bazley. Well, he hasn't put up any points yet in this one. Gilgeous-Alexander against Hardaway. Back to Giddey.
Magic foul. Tracy McGrady.
And it's time to take another look at that powerful block.
What a play. I mean, that'll have the offense thinking twice about taking shots in his presence.
And for those tuning in, we're about a minute into this second half. Dort outside, down to 5 on the shot clock. Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. It's blocked. And that's out of bounds. Oklahoma City will keep it.
The first time I'm supposed to hit that red come over, I just went out my rag. You took a seal right from here?
Here's Bazley, and they turn it over. Shot clock violation as the buzzer sounds.
We're mad. Like I said, we're mad because if you ain't got the right size shoes, they got them. If you don't have enough support to get up and help you get up, they're going to help you. They're going to keep getting that bitch. And you ain't going to lose your shoes.
Here's Orlando. 10-point lead. This is their biggest of the game. Pass to Hill. Here's O'Neal. Ooh, he's locked in. Dreams his 5th shot in as many attempts.
And no surprise here, right? This guy is not only a gifted player, but he is so smart on the offensive end.
And the Thunder call time here.
It's now an opportunity to take a break and talk about their strategy moving forward.
Well, there's something that the coach doesn't like. I'm curious to see which kind of adjustment he makes here.
90 seconds into the second half now. Pass to Gilgeous-Alexander. Here's Holmgren. Back to Gilgeous-Alexander. And slam dunk by Gilgeous-Alexander.
How fast off his feet is Gilgeous-Alexander. What a dunk.
Outside, Hill. O'Neal inside. Bazley on him. Count that one. O'Neal's got 4 points now in the quarter.
What an effective, efficient offensive possession. They'd love to get that shot every trip down the floor. Well, not exactly one of those big, burly power forwards, right? He depends on his leaping ability more than those guys, and it serves him just fine.
Pass to Hardaway. Here's McGrady. Now Howard. And it's going to be a goaltending call here, so they will count the bucket.
Well, at least the D was going for it. He got to the ball just a moment late.
Grant's checked in for Orlando. Robinson Earls checked in for Oklahoma City. Not quite 2.5 minutes played here in the second half. Pass to Holmgren. Stripped it away. Oh, and a fast break for the Magic. All right, let's get a report from Allie.
Well, guys, with the yearly roster moves, it might be hard for the casual fan to keep track. But Commissioner Silver said it's a necessary side effect. He said, quote, "We tried to tie performance to pay in a closer way, and I think that's what you see with shorter contracts. Brian, more player movement has been the result."
Yeah, good point, Alec. Thanks. Here's O'Neal. Grant, left side. Here's McGrady. Giddey defends. That one goes in. And Orlando leads by 16.
And just not letting up at all. I mean, you have to love this approach. You want to get the ball to the guys who make plays.
One thing we've learned in the NBA, the game is never over. So you've got to continue to score, continue to build your lead.
Here's Gilgeous-Alexander. The Magic making their last shot. Now here's Giddey. O'Neal pulls it in. Second half here, and we're just over 3.5 minutes into it. Uneasy, too, on the layup. O'Neal's got 14 points.
Their offense has been unstoppable, just firing on all cylinders.
And at this point, it is their game to lose. They've done such a good job building the lead.
Pass to Holmgren. To the inside. Oh, got a piece of it. Here's Hill. Dort defending. Grant with it. Here's McGrady. The Thunder pull it in. Holmgren's got 4 rebounds now. Pass to Dort. Over Hill. Oh, and just miss after miss right now. And here are the Magic now. Just 4 points. That's all they've given up here in the second half. Back to O'Neal. Now Hardaway. 6 to shoot. Uses the glass on the layup. 10 points for him.
And he's just crushing them with plays like that. I mean, just continuing to pile it on.
You want to make sure your opponent knows they have absolutely zero chance of a comeback. Nice finish by him.
Here's Holmgren. And at last, they get one to fall. Holmgren's got his first 2 points.
Well, you get exactly what you want right there. Clean look, right at the cup. Nicely done.
Hill, soft touch on the glass. And Orlando leads by 20.
And trust me, when the D's slow to react, he'll be the first guy to make them pay.
And that's typical of this guy. He's always reading the situation, reacting quickly and capitalizing.
Now here's Hardaway. He's got 10. Outside, Hill. Grant in the post. Dort defending. And Grant gets it to go.
And since the halftime break, their offense has just been on another level.
I got to believe that's something the coach talked to them about at the halftime. They have valued each possession.
2 seconds separating the shot clock and the game clock. And a bit of a battle for the ball. And the officials signal a jump ball here. So it's the Thunder now. And here is Hill. 6 points for him. Hardaway on the wing. Grant outside. With 1 on the clock. Oh, no good on the last second attempt there. And so it's the Orlando Magic with a commanding 22-point lead going into the break. It hasn't taken them too many shots to get their points. They're winning with efficiency. We're coming right back. Don't go anywhere.
When I was going through this shit, you know, like, I'm going to call you back when I get a chance on the phone. You got to wait 3 or 4 hours. But they not knowing that I'm telling their dad a beast in that bitch. I don't want to tell them I put their dad with this because my son is looking up to me. Yeah. But I tell him my story.
And it's time to bring up the State Farm assist of the game.
And he definitely deserves the award. Reading the defense like a point guard.
He's got the size to survey over the top of the defense and find the open man. That was beautiful.
And we reach the 4th quarter in a game that may already be out of hand. And Oklahoma City, looking at who they've got, we've got Kenrich Williams, Mike Muscala out there with Darius Baisley. Then there's Alexei Pokusevski, and it's man in at the 2.
You're not going to get stops against him unless you give an effort.
And so it's Oklahoma City with it. Pass to man. Here's Pokusevski. Oh, a clear foul there on the missed shot. So he'll get a pair at the line. It's going to belong to Nikola Vucevic.
This guy's got a lean frame, but he is willing to mix it up. Draws the foul there. Nicely done, Alexei.
And a moment now to quickly take a look at the offensive approach for the Magic.
They feel like they have an advantage inside, and so far they have done an excellent job exploiting it.
The other thing that's been impressive is really just relentless driving the basketball. Doesn't matter if the defense is there, they are challenging them and getting it done.
If you hit the system out here, you retire. You all the way up, baby. They got plenty of motherfuckers with stars, but they not gonna tell me like I'm gonna tell you. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you what it really is. And I'm not gonna I can't sugarcoat. I do this shit for me.
That's also good, so he hits both free throws.
There is something so captivating about Alexei Pokusevski. Here's a 7-footer who believes he can be a great shooter. He's put work in to develop his handle. And folks, I just think the upside of this young man is tremendous. Well, deliver the pass where your teammate can do something with it. Nice.
Pass to man. Here's Beasley. Here's Pokusevski. Now here's Muscala from outside the arc. And it's cleared by Vucevic. And here are the Magic now. Anderson with it. Now Howard. And there's a whistle. He'll head to the line to shoot two.
Well, because of his frame, Dwight Howard is so problematic for the defense. Gets to the foul line.
At the line for the Magic,
He's off on the first.
at the line for two.
And he sinks the second. Here's Williams. Pass to man. Muscala with it. Five on the clock. Here's Williams. Howard grabs the miss. Howard's got 8 rebounds in the game. Here's Turkoglu. Oh, and that one, no question. Howard is down.
And they're really rolling right now. That lead keeps getting bigger and bigger.
And one of the things that's helped that is they're getting it done on both ends. Terrific focus on offense, and they're locked in defensively.
Fader on the way. The Thunder with another miss.
Well, if the defense gives him that shot next time, they could get burned. I think he's just a little bit out of rhythm.
And he banks in the layup.
He has a lot of tools in the toolkit. That right there was just one of them.
That was another look at our Mobile One drive of the game just a moment ago.
You know, B.A., even with the game well in control, he's going right at the rim. I love
nearly
it.
4,000 points in 2 days. So by Monday, everyone was understandably freaking out.
A touch under 2.5 minutes have passed now here in the fourth.
Concerned as panicans, which he said was a quote,
pass to
new
man.
party based on weak and stupid people. Though I'd argue the weak and stupid demo is of anything
Wiggins, he's checked in for Oklahoma City.
Then on Tuesday, Trump gave a speech to Republican donors where he floated major new tariffs on pharmaceuticals, told the audience, I know what the hell I'm doing, and claimed this.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up.
Trying to get back on track. Tries again. And Vucevic with the block.
Boy, when Vucevic is in that area, he's capable of sending it back.
In the same way you tried to be nice if you suddenly found yourself in the same room
Here's
as
Scott.
a monkey with a gun.
And the layup is good.
Good monkey, strong monkey. Please, I'll do
Just about 3 minutes through the fourth and final quarter here. Outside, Williams. He buries it from 3.
Everything is going to work
Williams
out
has
well.
gotten himself going with a triple. His first basket of the game.
History. That is the phrase you hear before someone skateboards off a roof,
Here's Skiles.
shows you their homemade wall slide, or asks you to hold the camera while they climb into the alligator
To the paint.
and do something
Lewis.
hilarious.
Oh, nice finish from the low block. That was good.
As of this moment, they look absolutely unstoppable.
Boy, it looks like their confidence is at an all-time high, just feeding off each other right now.
Democrats grilled his top trade representative on Capitol Hill. It looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from
For the left
under
side
you
wing.
and paused The tariffs, the taxes on the American people.
Here's Scott.
There's no strategy.
Nice dish, and the layup goes down.
3 seconds ago, sitting here, we
To
saw
me,
you.
you've got to do a better job communicating once the screen
tweeted out
comes.
this photo showing what it looked like to watch
Wiggins
that
outside.
guy get the news. And how do you think he found out?
Pass to Williams. Let's go with a three. He can't get that one to fall.
Where one guy goes, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck?
Here's Orlando. They've only given up 5 points here in the fourth. And the shot's good.
Well, you can see why his teammates love playing with him. Vucevic willing to find the open guy.
Oh my God, what the
Wiggins
hell did this
outside.
just happen? And then everyone at the same time texts,
And here is Williams.
Yes, Cody.
Drops in the three.
I'll tell you, you are playing with fire anytime you leave this guy open, and they just got burned.
For 6
Pass to
straight
Scott.
days. The previous times that happened were in March 2020 during COVID.
So it'll be 2 free throws. He was fouled in the act of shooting.
And October 1987, which, if you are too young to remember, was a stock market
First free
crash.
throw's good.
So massive.
So it's both teams making substitutions here. And so he hits both.
Again to help us, our good friend Kermit.
And here are the Thunder now.
Tell us, what is a bear market?
Yes, Ted. Well,
Poke
thank you.
loose.
Being a bear myself, that is one of the first things we bears are taught in the caves. What I
Here's
call
Jang.
a bear market is where prices are going down for a long period of time.
Clock at 4. It's rebounded by Grant.
You know, he made an easy shot so much harder, and it really cost him the bucket packs.
Here's Orlando. Pass to Turkoglu.
They explain a complicated financial crash with Muppets. A sentence so this show
To the wing on the left. Here's Francis. Pounded by Wiggins.
Honestly, if Ted Koppel had a British accent, glasses, one less gravitas...
Francis gets the bucket.
Showing us that killer instinct right now. No letting the foot off the gas for them.
And you want to save your best for last. Tonight, they've done that and then some.
Tariff on all
Now,
imports
here's
and
Williams.
a 145% tariff on China.
The Thunder making a switch here. Muscala's checked in.
Third team foul. Some in the White House claim
Coming
that
on
the
to the floor
90-day
for the
pause was
Thunder.
part of the strategy.
Muscala.
Trump himself seemed to admit that he did it in reaction to the markets panicking.
I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know? They were getting a little bit yippy.
40 seconds left to play in the fourth. Pass to Williams.
A little bit afraid is a massive understatement. People were freaking out about their 401ks. There were grandmas looking at their retirement plan,
And
getting ready
connects
to
on
open
the
a
9-footer.
OnlyFans to get rid of the next 5 years. And it wasn't just ordinary investors.
29 seconds left in the fourth quarter here. Here's Francis. Over to the left wing.
Might be insane. Which is fair. Everyone knows the right time to ask if someone might be insane.
19 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Look, this week was incredibly stupid.
Here's Lewis. Chang pulls it in.
Exactly how stupid it was, because we're not out of the woods yet. And the damage the
here's
president
Williams.
has done to confidence in our economic system could have lasting repercussions. So tonight, let's talk about Trump and his tariffs.
And there's a 3-second call. This one on the defense.
Not only did Trump bring up the idea of 10% universal tariffs repeatedly on the campaign trail, he's been obsessed with the idea of punishing other
No
countries
good on the
with
technical,
tariffs.
so
For
unable
years
to
now.
pick
In
that
fact,
one up.
when he touched off a trade with China in his first term, we spent 21 minutes unpacking it, and the arguments hold up pretty well.
So no problem for Orlando. They get the win. Boy, they were something special to watch tonight, and the crowd loving every second of it.
It's always a great feeling when you play this well for your fans. This team really showed what it's capable of.
And that's going to do it tonight, folks, for our broadcast. For Doris Burke, Allie LaForce, and Grant Hill, and our entire crew, this is Brian Anderson thanking you for tuning in. So long, everybody.
And you know, I said to somebody that it's really the messenger. The messenger is important. I could have one man say, we're going to tax you 25%. And I could say another, listen, you motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%.
Okay, putting aside how striking it is to hear the word motherfucker on C-SPAN, I kind of wish he just kept doing the voices there. You can have one guy say, listen, motherfuckers, we're going to tax you 25%, and you can have an Australian guy say, oh, you bloody dingo, we're going to tax you 25%, mate. Or you can have Bjork say, I would tax you 25 butterfly rainbow sneezes in happiness shoot. There's all sorts of ways that you can do it, but the tariff is the important part. The point is, Trump has long believed that tariffs can fix our trade problems. And that's coupled with his insistence that trade is zero-sum, that if we buy more from another country than we are selling to them, we're somehow getting ripped off. But that is just not how it works, because we are getting things in return. As one Nobel-winning economist jokingly said, I run a chronic trade deficit with my barber. He never buys a damn thing from me, which is just a classic economist's zinger. Nevertheless, Trump applied both those beliefs to his initial tariff plan, imposing massive penalties on countries indexed to the size of our trade imbalance, which led to some of the incredibly stupid calculations on Trump's chart, perhaps the dumbest of which was actually explained pretty well by Jim Cramer.
Let's go to the southern African nation of Lesotho, which had the misfortune of being one of the 2 most highly tariffed nations on Trump's list. They're being hit with a 50% duty on their exports to America. That happened because Lesotho only imported $2.8 million worth of U.S. goods last year, whereas we imported roughly $240 million worth of stuff from them. Now, the thing is, Lesotho's a really tiny country. Virtually everything we buy from them is either apparel or diamonds. But because it's a very poor country, they can't afford to buy much from us. So what happens now? To start, we're going to have to pay a lot more for any apparel or diamonds from Lesotho. Maybe we can replace the apparel with diamonds? I mean, that's a lot harder. And the only way for Lesotho to get out of this jam is by importing more stuff from America, which it can't do because it doesn't have any money. So the president has likely just made things more expensive for Americans and not really changed the behavior of our trading partners.
He's right. Shit. Jim Cramer was right. I think I'm going insane. And quick side note there, if you're thinking, hold on, did he say Lesotho's sitting on top of a load of diamonds but they still don't have any money? I know, but we don't have time. That's a different story that I'm sure we'll do one day. I'll put a post-it note on my computer and everything. And while Trump's temporarily paused those huge tariffs on Lesotho and others, it is worth asking, what exactly is his end game here? And it depends on who you ask. When the tariffs first came down, some in the White House insisted they'd be permanent trade barriers intended to raise revenue and bring jobs back home, while others claimed they were a scare tactic designed to help us negotiate more favourable deals. But those are 2 very different goals with different consequences for businesses and workers who badly need to know which to plan for. So let's take each scenario in turn, and let's start with the idea that these tariffs are designed to shut out foreign competition and ensure stuff gets made here. There are a few issues with that, starting with the fact that lots of things aren't produced in the US, sometimes because they simply can't be at any kind of commercial scale. Even Trump's Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick, pictured here rocking a cunty little bob, seemed to understand that last month when he said this.
Certain products, if I put a tariff on a mango, right? We can't grow mangoes in America. You just can't grow a mango. If you put a tariff on a mango, the mango would be more expensive. So then that's just like another version of income tax.
How do you
Okay, so when the idea is to not do that.
Right. The problem is, when the tariffs were announced, mangoes weren't exempted, so we did do that. And sometimes it feels like the best way to ensure Trump does something is to tell him not to do it. He's like a toddler, both because his brain is unable to grasp negations and also because he has a short torso, huge head, always looks like he's about to fall over and won't let anyone brush his hair. That same logic applies to other crops like coffee and bananas, but that is not all, because it's also not easy to make electronics here. Take the Nintendo Switch 2. The company paused pre-orders for it this week because they didn't know how it'd be affected, as this analyst explained.
They got to figure out what they're going to get charged. Do they charge 50% more? Do they charge double? Do they even ship them?
How much of this is made in the U.S.? None of it.
None of it.
That is a good point, but an even better delivery of it. I want that guy on hand to respond to all other situations. How much birthday cake is left in the break room? None of it. How much of the Severance Goats plot did you actually understand? None of it. How much of Trump's trade briefing did he genuinely read? None of it. And if you think, well, hold on, why don't we just build a switch factory here? Well, when it comes to high-tech goods, key components have to be sourced from complex global supply chains. So it's not a matter of simply building a factory. There is a lot more to it.
How much would it cost them to start manufacturing switches here in the U.S.?
Tens of billions of dollars.
Billions? That's because of a supply chain that's been built over decades.
It would take 4 to 5 years to even build and get done a factory here in the U.S. And the reality is the assembly, the supply chain's in Asia. If you just build a factory here in the U.S., where are you getting all the parts from? Still in Asia.
Exactly. And some of those components are presumably about to be subjected to heavy tariffs. And quick side note, among the many things that I'm mad about right now is the fact that I have to spend time talking about how tariffs will impact the Switch instead of what I really want to talk about, which is that I only just learned the president of Nintendo in America is named Bowser. That man, I don't shit you even a tiny bit, is called Doug Bowser. Now, if you don't know, Bowser is quite famously the primary antagonist of Mario, the face of Nintendo. Now, in the comedy world, the president of Nintendo being named Doug Bowser is like someone gently setting a ball on a tee, handing you a bat and saying, please, have fun and swing away. But unfortunately, because this guy doesn't understand economics, I have to look at real Nintendo president Doug Bowser and say, sorry everyone, no time for that, we've got math to do. It's a truly sad state of affairs, or to put it another way... Oh, no! Exactly. The point is, if these tariffs stand, they can have the opposite of the intended purpose, as some business owners might realise it's now cheaper to have a factory outside the US and not have to deal with tariffs. But let's say that despite all of that, we still want all those manufacturing jobs that we lost to come back home. First, as we've discussed before, a lot of them simply don't exist anymore because they've been automated. And second, even if we wanted to build brand new factories, it's worth knowing these new tariffs mean higher material and equipment costs for manufacturers wanting to do that. And in fact, tariffs for oil and building costs have already helped to kill a $300 million plastics recycling plant in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is a real shame for multiple reasons, including they would have helped make Erie, Pennsylvania, known for something other than the town that boiled a Revolutionary War general's corpse in order to separate his flesh from his bones so they could ship him back to his hometown. The idea there being, they reassembled the skeleton once he was in his final gravesite, but you guessed it, some bones wound up falling out of the wagon on the trek, as bones are wont to do. It's an incredible story, and thanks to the full recycling plant, remains the only thing I will ever know about Erie, Pennsylvania. And even if we do end up bringing some manufacturing jobs home, you also have to factor in that other countries will put tariffs on our goods in return, which will hurt other industries. The current massive tariffs on China are incredibly worrisome for people like this soybean farmer in Tennessee.
That trade relationship with China was built over decades and decades.
Will Hutchinson, a fourth-generation Tennessee farmer, says he is very concerned.
This is going to have an immediate and drastic impact to our ability to compete on the global marketplace for our goods that we produce here in this country.
Yeah, that literal soy boy is right. This is pointless. If I wanted to watch long-standing relationships destroyed in an instant, I'd just go to a basketball game to see which couples act weird when they end up on the Jumbotron. You can enjoy relationships falling apart without jeopardizing the global economy. And at this point, I'm sure some Trump supporters are saying, well, these were never intended to be permanent. It's that second possibility that you mentioned earlier, that the tariffs were always just a way to give Trump leverage to renegotiate bad trade deals. And after he announced that 90-day pause, that was definitely the message getting sold.
This is the art of the deal. This shows how strong our president is.
A huge win for the president, a huge win for the country, his biggest accomplishment of the second term.
Trump won. He's doing exactly what he said he would do.
He's a genius in negotiating. He is very calculating in how he negotiates. He understands the art of the deal better than anyone, and he's gotten results in a very short period of time.
I don't know what's more desperate there, the shameless sucking up or the needs to put the words, "we told you not to freak," at the bottom of the screen, which is funny coming from Fox News of all places, considering most of their broadcast feature messages like, why you should absolutely freak about the green M&M. But let's at least consider the possibility this was all about gaining leverage for negotiating new deals. That was definitely the White House's spin after the pause was announced, with Trump's Treasury Secretary claiming it had happened because the tariffs brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. But a couple of things about that. First, the White House said it will not be releasing a list of the countries that had allegedly done that, so you know. And remember, Trump's openly admitted the key reason for his climb down was people got the yippies. And remember, even with the pause, we still have 10% tariffs on nearly every country in the world, which is still massively disruptive, both to them and to us. And that includes countries like Singapore, where we're going to struggle to get a much better deal, given that we face no tariffs there and actually have a trade surplus. And I'm not saying there aren't countries where we have legitimate trade disputes, because there are, most notably China, where there are major issues from their heavy subsidies for homegrown industries to their theft of US companies' intellectual property. Resolving those issues is difficult. It requires diplomacy and a coordinated strategy with our allies. But instead, we've alienated those allies and are going into any future negotiation having provoked China into putting massive tariffs on our goods too. But don't worry, because Trump's charismatic Treasury Secretary doesn't seem to think they're going to be able to hurt us at all.
It was a big mistake, this Chinese escalation, because they're playing with a pair of twos. We are the deficit country. So what do we lose by the Chinese raising tariffs on us? We export 1/5 to them of what they export to us. So that is a losing hand for them.
Okay, setting aside that playing with a pair of two sounds like how you describe a threesome with Don Jr. and Eric. That is incredibly simplistic because it ignores that China's leverage in a negotiation isn't confined to just tariffs. It can hurt us in other ways too, including by cutting off access to rare earth elements we may badly need. And before you think rare earth elements are just some fancy powder Gwyneth Paltrow adds to a morning smoothie to enhance vaginal wellness, you should know they're actually essential for everything from wind turbines to computer chips to F-35 stealth fighter jets. And incredibly, that Whoville tax accountant wasn't even the most reckless player in the Trump administration's messaging to China this week, because J.D. Vance, true to form, was even more of a dick.
What has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on two principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture.
Wow. I know it is hard to take from someone with this accent, but you are really not supposed to use the word peasants anymore. That is incredibly insulting, especially coming from the man who, remember, is next in line to run the country if anything were to happen to Elon Musk. So it is no wonder those comments went down pretty badly in China.
The government's response? Swift and scathing.
It's both astonishing and lamentable to hear this vice president make such ignorant and disrespectful remarks.
On China's tightly controlled internet, government censors are allowing Vance's interview to go viral, amplifying the outrage, igniting anger and sarcasm. Have you said thank you for the money we lent you? A reference to China being the second largest foreign holder of U.S. government debt, and that infamous Oval Office exchange with Ukraine's president.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid burn. And I guess, in a way, it's reassuring to know that despite our differences, the American and Chinese people can come together to agree that it is fun to dunk on this cursed Cabbage Patch bitch. And look, you can say, well, that's all well and good, but I still trust Trump to make a deal. But here's the thing. We actually know what happens when he starts a trade war, because remember, he did a version of this in his first term, and it didn't go great. If you look back at his tariffs back then, protecting specific products and industries like washing machines and steel, they might have worked in a narrow sense by creating modest job gains. They're credited with creating or saving several thousand jobs in the steel industry and creating around 1,800 jobs manufacturing washing machines. But in the broader sense, those jobs cost us a lot. Trump's tariffs wound up raising prices to the point where it's estimated American consumers and businesses had to pay more than $900,000 a year for every steel job created, and over $800,000 a year for each job making washing machines, putting the total cost of those jobs in the billions of dollars. And that's before you get to the fact that because his tariffs on metals drove up costs for other industries, one study estimated they actually resulted in as many as 75,000 fewer manufacturing jobs. And when it comes to China in particular, his first-term tariffs did bring in billions by raising the costs of their goods here. But the broader damage to American farmers after China retaliated was so severe that 92% of what we collected went right back out the door in the form of bailouts to them. And the kicker is, we didn't get much out of all of that. Because after a trade agreement was reached, Trump excitedly bragged he'd got China to commit to purchase an additional $200 billion in US products. But later analysis showed it effectively bought none of those goods. None of them. But please, don't worry. I'm sure Trump definitely learned his lesson. And this time, he's going to get an empty promise for $500 billion. Fool him once, shame on him. Fool him twice, that's basically what everyone does. And remember, Trump's first-term tariffs are absolutely dwarfed by what he's done over the last 2 weeks. And it's not like he's negotiating from a particularly strong position right now, because everyone knows he just blinked. The bond markets got the yippies, and he blinked. And again, it's good that that happened. I'm glad he blinked. But it's weird to claim it's a brilliant negotiating tactic when you've already backed down before a single deal is reached. And the thing is, this could all cost us an awful lot, because maybe the most striking thing over the past 2 weeks has been the degree to which it's become clear the world's trust in America has been shattered. This isn't just the ordinary give and take of negotiations. Countries are openly saying things are different now. Canada's Prime Minister actually summed it up pretty well the day after Trump's initial round of tariffs were announced.
The global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States that Canada has relied on since the end of the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped to deliver prosperity for our country for decades, is over. Well, this is a tragedy. It is also the new reality.
Wow, that is a bleak thing to hear. Tragedy is the new reality is a grim summation of the state of world affairs, but also, I'm just going to say it, kind of a fucking bar. Honestly, you slap that title on a new Fall Out Boy album, the girls are going feral. And it's not just world leaders. Investors are making it clear they no longer have the trust they once did in the stability of the American economy. Usually, when the stock market drops, the market for US government bonds improves because they're seen as a safe investment. This week, though, they both went down, which is a terrible sign. As one economist put it, investors and central banks are selling treasuries and dollars due to a loss of confidence and credibility in American assets. Financial chaos has its cost. That is bad. And by the way, that is from Friday after the pause was announced. And that is the thing. Well, everyone may want to pretend that this crisis is past us. It's just not. Even Chuck Schumer seemed to miss that point when he tweeted out, history will remember April 9th, 2025 as America's actual liberation day, the day that President Trump backed down from his ridiculous tariff fiasco. But it's not over, Chuck. We dodged a bullet, but the monkey still has a gun. And incidentally, if anyone watching this is close to Chuck Schumer right now, please take his phone, take it out of his hand, and throw it into the fucking ocean. So what do we do? Well, ideally, Congress would realise just how close we came to financial Armageddon and take away the president's power to unilaterally impose tariffs. There's actually a bill in Congress right now, co-sponsored by Chuck Grassley, that would require the White House to justify tariffs and then give lawmakers the opportunity to reject them within 60 days of enactment, which seems more than reasonable. The problem is, you're going to need 67 votes to beat a presidential veto, and Republicans like Senator John Kennedy are refusing to sign on using this logic.
I have not joined the Grassley bill. I'm not likely to join the Grassley bill. The Grassley bill will not pass, and I just think it's a distraction. The most immediate question for me is, the president is a pit bull. He's won. He's caught the car. The question is, what's he going to do with the car?
Look, that is a shitty answer in so many different ways. But the main one is, the whole idiom, the dog that caught the car, is based on the fact dogs have no plan for what to do after they catch it. That is damning enough alone. No one says he's like the dog that caught the car, as fades one of the dog's long-term strategy to reshore manufacturing. Also, you're a co-equal branch of government. It is your job to stop that dog, not stand back and say, I don't know, guys, let him cook. There's always the chance of an Airbud situation here. Look, I don't know where things are going to go next. We're taping this on Saturday. Who knows what's happened between now and when you are seeing this? Maybe Trump will have rolled the tariffs back even further. Maybe he'll have put even bigger new ones on mangoes. What is clear is that he's destabilising our economy with no real plan of action. And all I'll say is, if our next episode opens up with me sitting next to a chart of the NASDAQ and Miss Piggy, it means we are fucked.
The Accountant 2 is undeniably awesome. I think so too. Affleck and Bernthal have perfect chemistry.
That's my big brother up there!
And it's better than the original in every way. The Accountant 2, rated R.
Camp Margaritaville Brokerage offers your escape to island life right here in Louisiana. From our kid-centric water zone with water slides and hydro bucket to our 21 and up swim-up bar, every age is sure to find their slice of paradise. Plan your escape to paradise today.
Donald J. Trump, the 45th president of the United States, a man whose licentious and felonious behavior has been well cataloged and documented, returned to the Capitol Rotunda just 4 short years after inspiring in that very place a day of riotous shit-free. Return to the exact same room. Now, generally, if this were a Dateline documentary, you would return to that room to express a form of repentance, and maturity, and acknowledgement of pain that had been wrought on that terrible day. But in this show that we're filming now, it's to be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. And as with most returning to the scene of the crime, it began with tea with the people you tried to steal it from.
A short time ago, President Joe Biden greeted Mr. and Mrs. Trump at the White House for tea, an inaugural tradition.
It's always important to keep up the tea tradition when you hand over the keys to, I'm sorry, what did you call them? Hitler? But gotta be a good host. Hey, the Wi-Fi password is White House, but I changed the I to a 1. I hope that's not weird. I'm not saying Biden should have done his own insurrection, but there's got to be a happy medium between storming the Capitol and, would you like a crumpet? Then it was time for the swearing in on the kind of on the Bible. Yes, it turns out Trump didn't actually put his hand on the Bible. Obviously, because one or the other would burst into flames. Perhaps both. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the torch has been passed from Biden to Trump. Yes, the torch has been passed to the same generation of Americans. Let's hear from the 47th president, fresh off the warm embrace of a tea ceremony with his predecessor.
Our recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place.
He's right behind you. Luckily, I don't think he can hear you. Yes, the inaugural speech followed the American tradition of a passive-aggressive transfer of power. The incoming president gets to completely shit on the outgoing president in front of that president and hopefully his spouse.
In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly. Record inflation trying to socially engineer race and gender, disastrous invasion of our country. It's a radical and corrupt establishment, vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization. From this moment on, America's decline is over.
This is a tumultuous time in American history filled with much uncertainty and trepidation. But it is very difficult for me to not in any way take the bait of the way he said, decline. did sound like he said our dick line. Like the line of our dick. So, you can see America's dick line? I mean, how are you going to end our dick line? With a tuck or a full reassignment? Or is this more about Fetterman's shorts? What about our dick line? I am a child. But as bad as things were, guess what, folks? Daddy's home. It's about to get a whole lot better.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before. We will win like never before. We will be a rich nation again. We will bring prices down. Fill our strategic reserves up again. We will drill, baby, drill.
Oh, I think I just saw J.D. Vance's dick line. Drill, baby, drill. Whoop. But for all the day's eerie energy, one thing stood out to America's watchdogs of democracy.
We have watched as the 47th President of the United States has been sworn in, the cornerstone of democracy.
This is the true transfer of power here of the current president and the former president, making this walk.
This process is what distinguishes the United States from a lot of other parts of the world.
Yeah, it's all just normal shit. It's just another day. It's all just normal transfer power shit. We're just going to play along like all this theater is normal. Oh, except there was one thing that might have given the game away.
With just 20 minutes or so left in his presidency, we've just gotten word from President Biden that he is pardoning his brothers, their wives, his sister, other family members. He says that he is doing this because faceless and politically motivated investigations wreak havoc on the lives of individuals.
It's all just normal. First of all, Biden, you're at the inauguration. Did you auto-schedule your pardons? And second of all, what the man? You're just pardoning your whole family. It's not a great look. Yeah, like any good captain, as the ship is going down, Biden gave the order, that lifeboat is for my family. The rest of you can do just like a kind of Jack and Rose thing. One on, one off, 50-50 shot, who gives a shit? Biden outie. So the takeaway of this entire day was, a man who tried to overthrow the government has been peacefully handed the reins of power. And the outgoing president has started a new tradition of blanket pardoning everyone in his orbit. The two men creating a magnificent snake sucking its own dick cycle of no accountability. And then, of course, we end with the grand finale. The attack on Greenland has begun!
Yesterday, that dude signed over 100 executive actions. I mean, look at that. He froze the federal hiring bill, something about genders. Then he said Cuba is a state-sponsored terrorist now. He renamed a mountain. Dishwashers are less efficient. Well, he can do that? Look, he had so many executive actions. They had to like scroll through the tracks like it was an ad for, like, now that's what I call MAGA. And being the showman that he was, Trump wasn't going to sign these behind a desk with a pen and paper like a nerd. Okay? No, he turned this into an arena show.
At Capital One Arena in front of a crowd of supporters, Trump putting into motion his day one actions.
After President Trump signed the executive orders at a desk that was placed on stage, he had a pile of pins. Well, President Trump decided to toss the pins to some of his supporters.
Wow. Whoever caught that pen is so lucky. I mean, that is going to be such a cool thing for those guys to show their kids once they get their visitation rights back. And even after he got back to the White House, he just kept signing. I mean, this guy was so in the zone, he didn't even know what he was signing.
Withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sir?
Ooh. He's withdrawing from the World Health Organization like he's hearing the dessert options. Yeah, I'll have the tiramisu and potential measles outbreak with that. I mean, if you could put anything in front of him yesterday, he would have signed it. Exactly. Melania, now's the chance to update the prenup. Go. But you know... But you know what? I'm not going to be shitting on President Trump, okay? Okay, sure, he pulled out of the WHO. We're like, who are those guys? What are the odds there's ever going to be a pandemic requiring global cooperation? So I'm going to go to President Trump with an open mind. You know, he won the election, which means he's a great guy who's right. So I'm sure his executive orders are reasonable.
Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accords.
Okay, look, I know that sounds bad for these woke liberals, but like, does it really matter? You know, 1 year we're in, next year we're out. We've been doing the hokey pokey of these guys for like 12 years. They don't even put us in a group chat anymore, okay? Also, newsflash, Paris Accord, we're not gonna reach the emission goals anyway, okay? This world is over. It's just an excuse to go to Paris, which, overrated, okay? So, fine, he's taking us out of anything that involves the rest of the world, okay? I'm sure there's other executive orders that aren't any worse.
Among the many executive orders President Trump signed on Monday was this one, pausing the TikTok ban for 75 days. He says the United States should broker a deal to own half of the platform.
I think the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok, and congratulations, TikTok has a good partner.
See? He brought back TikTok, just as my brain was regaining its higher order functions. I mean, oh my God, that was close. Now, if you remember, TikTok was originally banned because everyone thinks it gives China too much influence over Americans. And to be fair, before I started using TikTok, I was a white guy from Iowa, okay? But the point... The point is, the people have spoken, okay? We want China to change our brains. What absolute idiot even thought of banning it in the first place?
We're looking at TikTok. We may be banning TikTok.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, President Trump, for saving us from that guy. What I'm saying is, all these executive orders aren't bad, okay? I mean, what else is he doing?
And Trump is going to try, through executive order, to end birthright citizenship. It's a constitutional right that those born on American soil are U.S. citizens, regardless of their parents' immigration status.
Okay, that does sound like a major change. Birthright citizenship has been in the Constitution for over 100 years. But, on the other hand, should you just be a U.S. citizen just because you were born here? I mean, I think all citizens should have to prove that they're truly American by taking a quiz on American history and failing it. Okay? If your score is above 60, you're going back to Asia or whatever shithole country has educational standards. And to be fair, nothing too extreme so far. I mean, it sounds like there's a campaign Trump that says things to win, and then there's a President Trump who rules more moderately.
Overnight, with the stroke of a pen, President Trump issuing sweeping pardons to nearly all of the rioters charged for their actions on January 6th.
So this is January 6th?
Trump even granting clemency to the more than 600 people charged with assaulting or resisting law enforcement.
Okay, look, freeing violent criminals from prison seems less moderate and more like something Bane did, okay? But you know what? If you know your history, in that situation, Batman fixed it, okay? So, concerns are overblown. And look, these guys have been in prison for like 2 whole months already, okay? I'm sure they've learned their lesson.
Jacob Chansley, we know him as also the QAnon shaman. He put out something on social media where he said, "I got a pardon, baby. Thank you, President Trump. Now I'm going to buy some mother effing guns."
It's It's almost the end of Trump's first week in office, and he's done a lot. He shut down windmills, he saved TikTok, he caught Carmen Sandiego, and the man just can't stop, won't stop. On Monday, he wiped out all federal DEI programs, and yesterday he ordered that if anyone, if you see anyone trying to be inclusive, you better tell teacher.
The Trump administration asking federal workers to snitch on their coworkers in a rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Employees have been told to report any colleagues who work in diversity, equity, and inclusion roles, or they could face consequences. NBC News obtained emails sent to multiple agencies that say some of these programs are disguised using coded or imprecise language.
Yeah, you hear that? Don't even think about doing DEI in secret, right? Don't be meeting up in back alleys like, yo, you got any lesbian resumes for me today? And I know you think DEI was only invented in 2020 by Democrats looking for a fresh new way to lose elections. But Donald Trump is dedicated to rooting out DEI all throughout history.
One of the president's executive orders revokes an executive order signed by President Lyndon Johnson in 1965 that the Trump administration says mandated affirmative action.
That's right, Donald Trump went back in time to kill baby DEI. It's kind of impressive that he got this much focus. Trump is doing deep dives into these obscure old policies like he's MAGA John Oliver. And look, I'm not going to pretend to know more about civil rights law than Donald Trump. I mean, he's been sued over it many times. But if a discrimination law has been around since 1965, it might be a load-bearing civil rights thing, so maybe don't touch it. But DEI is not the only thing Trump is shutting down. He's also shutting down illegal immigration. In fact, it was probably the biggest thing he talked about during the campaign, aside from Arnold Palmer's penis, which is actually a thing that happened. But today, Trump faced his first setback.
Breaking news out of Seattle. A federal judge has just temporarily blocked President Trump's order attempting to end birthright citizenship.
The judge in this case is saying that they have been on the bench for over 4 decades. And this is a quote from the judge inside the courtroom. I can't remember another case where the question presented is as clear as this one. This is a blatantly unconstitutional order.
Whoa. What does the Constitution have to do with this? The Constitution is for gun stuff, okay? Who died and make this woke activist a judge, huh? Oh, Ronald Reagan. That liberal cuck. This judge has been judging for 4 decades and has never seen something, and I quote, so blatantly unconstitutional. I mean, that's like the judge equivalent of a Kendrick diss track. Like, all the other judges were like, oh shit, we concur. Usually the judge says this is constitutional or unconstitutional, okay? But this is like next level unconstitutional. This is like if you took a pregnancy test and it said you are the least pregnant anyone's ever been in 40 years. But Trump doesn't expect all these executive orders to pass legal scrutiny. He's signing those things the way like guys swipe right on every Tinder profile, okay? Yo, he just needs 1 or 2 to hit and that's the weekend, baby. The point is, Trump is going to try whatever he can to shut the border down. And last night, Trump sat down for some conversation and light manspreading with Sean Hannity to explain why.
In an Oval Office sit-down last night, President Trump repeated false claims that other countries are sending their prisoners here.
They've emptied their jails. I would, if I were the president or prime minister or something of another country, I'd empty my jails right into America.
You did do that. Like 3 days ago. With the Jan 6 thing, remember? That guy handed you all those Cheesecake Factory menus and you signed them all? That was the thing. But look, Trump doesn't care whether migrants are technically criminals or not, because he can tell just by looking at them.
Sean, who would ask for open borders with people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble. Could be trouble. There are people coming in with tattoos all over their face. Their entire face is covered with tattoos. Typically, you know he's not going to be the head of the local bank.
Breaking news, old man not fan of tattoos. And yeah, probably the guys with face tattoos aren't going to be bankers. But maybe bankers should have face tattoos. I mean, one teardrop for every loan application they've denied. Hey, stay clear of JP Morgan. That guy's loco.
Friday night massacre. Late Friday night purge. A chilling purge.
The purge.
Ah! Trump has ushered in the purge! I for one. I for one will take full advantage by doing some unpermitted lawn work. Your God is powerless. Although, just in case I'm misinterpreting, what is this purge about exactly?
Breaking news, the mass firing of government agency watchdogs. Trump fired at least 17 inspectors general.
No! He got rid of 17 inspectors general. That only leaves no one knows how many that. I have no idea. Oh, I'm sorry, did I break the illusion? You know, here's the nice thing, you don't know if that's the axe or my desk. Which one is fake? I'll never tell. The point is, we have 17 less inspectors general. Who knows how many generals will now go uninspected? Democrats, inspire my anger in the least charismatic way possible.
Donald Trump's decision to fire 12 of the federal government's independent watchdogs is a glaring sign that it's a golden age. And Donald Trump's decision to fire 12 of the federal government's independent watchdogs is a glaring sign that it's a golden age for abuse in government and even corruption.
He started again, right? He said it twice? Like, no recognition, just started again. Is that what happened? Normally, humans in that scenario would go, oh, God, I'm sorry, what, where was I? Let me take that from the top, and maybe this time I'll look up. Can you legally just restart without acknowledgement? Is Schumer AI? Is he DeepSeek? But regardless of how slowly NPC Chuck Schumer laid it out, what Trump did violated the law. He can't just fire these people.
Title V, Section 403 of the U.S. Code, federal law, an inspector general may be removed by the president.
What? So what's the purge? What's the map? Why do I have an axe?
There is a specific law that requires notice, 30 days, and a statement of reasons, substantive and detailed rationale.
What? I'm sorry, what? Oh, apparently you can fire them, but you have to give them 30 days notice. Oh, so that's what we're upset about? No! You can do it, but not in that font! That's Hitler's font! But this is the cycle we find ourselves in. First law of tropodynamics. Every action is met with a very not equal overreaction, thus throwing off our ability to know when shit is actually getting real. Like last week's pardons.
These pardons are sick. They are offensive. They are un-American.
This is one of the most egregious, despicable acts
in American history. This is textbook authoritarian takeover 101.
I knew I should have taken that class. I've not majored in submissive liberal crying 101. Oh, do what you will, Trumpisky. Was it shitty? Yes. Should you have let some of those terrible people? No. Is it an abuse of party power? I don't know. But that is his constitutional power. Again, for some reason, we have given presidents the power of a king. And then we say, oh, by the way, look at that power. You're not going to get all like kingly and shit on us, right? To put that in constitutional terms, if I could, don't hate the player. Hate the founding fathers. That's not... Why do we even have it? Because I don't know if you've met Donald Trump. He pushes shit.
President Trump deploying executive action to end birthright citizenship.
This unconstitutional, un-American attack.
Shredding our Constitution was to be a strongman authoritarian. Birthright citizenship was very specifically tailored to send a message to people that America was a place, an idea. It wasn't for one race. It wasn't for one gender. Citizenship in America was based on where you were, not who you were. And to just stroke of a pen, finally I agree. That is authoritarian.
We do begin tonight with the federal judge blocking President Trump's executive order that would end birthright citizenship.
And we're back. See how easy that was? It was a dictatorship, and then the judge went... It's like when you have an electric fence. You never check it, and you're not really sure if it works.